All right, double fries, no slaw. Let me make sure I get the right scene over here, so that we're not on the wrong one. A good day for the Knowles, a good week for the Knowles, maybe, as we'll talk about it with you guys. This is the morning show coming at you live at 8:15 at night, because sometimes life gets in the way of when you think that you're going to do a morning show. And, the kids had Christmas stuff today at school, and then I had a plumber out at one point today. So anyway, we're doing a morning show here at 8 p.m. 8:15, 8:18 really, because I started a couple of minutes late. So we'll wait for some people to get in here. I'll give some love to Decadent, a coffee and dessert bar. I'll give you some love to Bet US at some point as well. Harlan's coming. Harlan's on vacation, so he'll pop in at some point. Until then, I'm a one-man show, and so if it's a little clunky, you can blame Harlan for thinking that he could take a vacation in the middle of December. I don't know what in the world he is thinking there, but a good day for the Knowles. I want to talk a little bit about Mike Norvell, the $4.5 million. I want to talk a little bit about a couple of portal commits. Listen, we're not going to go insane hyping every... Harlan, I was just talking bad about you. We're not going to go insane hyping every single portal commit, but I do think 2 portal commits today that are certainly positions of need, and hopefully will make a big impact for Florida State this year. Is this the first tackle, like the first true tackle that we've had in how long? Like truly, how long has it been? Right, like Washington played there last year and was good. 2023. You had Harris. Harris was in. When was the last time you really had a tackle? I think you may have that. Crazy that, again, not crazy hyping anything. But it is funny to pull a guy from Vandy and go kind of crazy about it. But a kid who won SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week, a kid who, certainly played better and graded out better than any offensive lineman that Florida State had this year. And honestly, I don't want to go back and look, but may grade out better than anybody that you had last year either. 6'3", 200 or 325. Yeah, not 200 anymore. 325-pound offensive lineman. I think played 37 games in 3 years at Vanderbilt, and in the year 2024, undefeated against Alabama. So Alabama Slayer in Gus Malzahn, Alabama Slayer in Gunnar Hansen. Can we start telling lies about Alabama yet? I don't think I'm quite ready for that. Also got James Williams, a defensive end. Hey, there is a call-in available. If you want to call in, you certainly can. Link is in the description. Harlan, if you're in here like all the way, if you could throw the link in the comments too. If you have thoughts, we can certainly talk about that. I do want to talk about Norvell. That's really where I want to start. But we'll talk about the commits, and anybody that wants to call in, you certainly can do that by just clicking the link on, again, in the description or here in the comments. They'll get thrown in. There it is right there. So, first, I'll give a little love to Decadent. Decadent, a coffee and dessert bar. I actually got a text from a friend this week. Said they were going to stop by with a Warner Robins, Georgia location. They're also in Fulton, Maryland. They're also in Modesto, California. If you're near any of those locations, if you're anywhere close, make sure that you stop by our friends over at Decadent, a coffee and dessert bar. Get you some coffee, get some to go, get you some dessert. Really good stuff. Appreciate their partnership. Got some things coming with them, big picture too, that I'm excited for, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say it or not, so I won't. Let's talk about Mike Norvell a little bit. And again, if you want to call in, you certainly can with the link in the description or in the comments. Norvell gives up $4.5 million. And if you're in here right now, or if you're watching this on replay, maybe we'll cut this out, Harlan. So maybe grab a rough timestamp for this. If you're watching this live or later, if you were like at an angry level of like 10, right? Whatever your pre-donation anger level was with like Florida State and Mike Norvell and just the situation that the Seminoles are in, how much did that come down with a huge donation of his own salary? Now, I will caveat it a little bit and talk about how it's a strategic good move, how it's probably not $4.5 million, but I don't want to take away from it. So like, did that bring your anger level down at all? I talked with some people outside of Florida State who have said like, if I was you, I'd almost be willing to give him not a free pass, but a whole nother chance based on that alone. Like, to me, that's a pretty good faith move. Now, there are some protections written in for Mike Norvell's sake, too. We can't fire him tomorrow and then say, like, thanks for the $4.5 million, obviously. But I do think it's a pretty good faith move from him. Florida State's probably going to take a little bit of a hit from a revenue standpoint, just in, I don't know, like, you know, if you start winning, it won't matter, but are they going to take a hit in NIL contribution? Are they going to take a hit in booster donation? Are they going to take a hit in season ticket sales? Are they going to take a hit? The Bama game will sell out, obviously. The game against Miami will sell out, obviously. Are the rest of the games on this schedule? They play 2 really bad cupcakes this year, which is great for the win-loss record. It's not great for ticket sales. All of that stuff is going to take a hit. And I don't know what the amount of money that the boosters or Florida State entities is going to lose in 2024/2025 due to just poor play. But I would imagine that a $4.5 million bump on top of whatever that loss is, right? Like, to kind of counterbalance some of that certainly helps the program in the long run. Now, there are some stipulations built in, and I don't have this. Maybe I should have looked this up, but I didn't, so you'll just have to forgive me. There are some certain stipulations built into this. Like, I think he gets a $750,000 bonus every time they win 9 games? Well, yeah, so you can earn it all back, right? But that's fine with me. We said a long time ago on this show, hey, I would be good with them dropping coaching salaries down significantly and then saying for every win you get over 6, we're going to bump your pay, right? And maybe at Florida State, you bump that number up higher because of your expectations. But I do think that, yeah, I'd rather that be the case. I'd rather your salary be lower and you be bumped up for additional wins. Like, if your salary was $3 million and you got your $3 million if you made a bowl, right? But if you got to 8 wins, we bump it to $5 million. If you get to 10 wins, we'll bump it to 7. If you go to the playoff or win the ACC, we'll bump it to 9. If you win a playoff game, we'll bump it to 11. You know, like, I'd be fine with that. So that's not exactly what this is, but he has a chance to earn all of it back. In fact, he can earn all of it back and more. We will pay him more in bonuses if we can win enough games. Now, why I think it's good for Florida State is I don't think we're winning 9 games next year. That's not me being negative. That's not me trying to, like, put anybody down. That's not me trying to, I'm not trying to crap or rain on a parade that's happening of somewhat excitement over the last 3 or 4 weeks. But I don't think we win 9 games. And so I don't think you're going to have to pay that $750,000 bonus next year. In 2026, if you do win 9 games, so whatever your win total is this year, you win 6, you win 7, you make a bowl, whatever, you win 7, 8 games, I don't know. If you win 9 in 2026, you're going to be talked about as one of those fringe playoff teams. Now, do you make the playoff? I don't know, right? Like Clemson did, right, with 9 wins, 10 in the ACC championship. So it's certainly possible. I don't know that I would predict that. I don't know that I would suggest that that happens. But if I was to tell you that they were to get to 9 wins this year, you'd certainly be okay with giving up a $750,000 bonus. If you get to 9 wins in 26, you're going to be pretty happy with giving a bonus for that and earning some of that or giving some of that back. I think Florida State's obviously also in a very dire spot just from the way of just literal cash right now. Obviously, you're at the deficit right now with the Big Ten and the SEC. Hopefully, within the next year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, that gets fixed and you're not at that deficit. You also have the revenue sharing. We're going to have to pay $18 million or so to athletes. Where are you finding that money from? And Florida State just had to fire some really expensive coaches. We need the money, right? And Norvell stepped up and, again, essentially gave a loan, kind of a guaranteed loan based on when or if we ever end up firing him or he ends up leaving, but gave a loan that helps in the here and now. Does he ever do more? Does he ever give more? I don't know. I will say on his character, I do think it says a lot about him. People have commented, hey, he He did this to save his job. He did this so he wouldn't get fired. I don't know the logic that exists there when you hold all of the paper, all of the poker chips, when you hold all of the leverage. There's no way that he got strong-armed into a $4.5 million donation when he held all the chips. Like if somebody would have come to me and said, you have to give us this money or we're going to fire you, I'd have said, fire me and pay me my $64 million and we'll talk later. So there's no way he got strong. So I do think it's a very good faith thing. It helps Florida State in the here and now. It puts it back on Mike Norvell to be successful and to win games, because if you win games, which is the expectation here, we'll give you all that money back and more, right? If they were to go out and win, to be very honest with you, and you all might shudder to think of this, if they go out and win 10 games the next 2 years, I'm just telling you, he's going to get another contract extension. Like, that's just what's going to happen. But if you win 10 games the next 2 years, you're probably going to the playoff at least once. So you may hate the idea of him getting another extension, but I'm just telling you, it's probably happening again. Again, I think it's Mike Norvell owning up to things. I think it's him saying, yeah, this was not acceptable. This wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough. The program that I built wasn't good enough. The roster that I built wasn't good enough. The staff that I built wasn't good enough. I screwed up. And $4.5 million is an insane amount of money. Like, it could be a loan. Obviously, if you fire him within so many years, you have to pay some of that back. Whatever. I saw Brian Kelly gave $1 million. I saw, we talked about this. Harbaugh gave like $1 million a couple of years ago. His contract was kind of readjusted. This is so much more and such a staggering amount. Like, literally, you think about it. I think what he's actually going to get paid after the donation is like $5.3 million. And obviously with that, he's in the largest tax bracket, which means 40% of it he's going to pay in taxes. I would assume, right? Like, if CPA is on here and wants to correct me, that's fine. So like of his 5.3, excuse me, 40% of that's gone. Let's say 30%, right? Like, just if I'm bad at math, a third of it's gone. Like, he's only going to make like $3 million, three and change. He gave more than he will end up taking home. I think that's pretty commendable. I think that's pretty, you could think whatever you want about the moves this offseason. You can think obviously whatever you want about 2-10. Nobody's happy with that. It doesn't undo 2-10. It certainly is commendable. And I'll say this. I've gotten some tweets about this. I've gotten some comments about this on YouTube. I know that a lot of people were fed up with the product and sick of the product, and they thought, man, the way I'm going to show them that I'm not happy with the product is I'm going to cancel my booster membership, or I'm going to cancel my Battle's End, or I'm, getting off of Patreon, or I'm getting off of Knowles 247 or On 3 or whatever. I'll show them by doing that. And what you ultimately do with your money is completely fine. Like, I'm not going to peer pressure you in. I'm not going to tell you like, oh, well, help us build back better and all this other stuff. What you ultimately do with your money is fine. If you are someone, though, that canceled, or, you were in a place where you're like, you know what, this just isn't worth it. My mental health is suffering, so I'm not going to contribute money to this. I would say that it's probably a pretty good sign that your coach, whether you like him or not at this point, was willing to give $4.5 million. It's probably not the worst idea to maybe sign back up for the Battle's End at $19.93 a month. Not pressuring anybody. I'm not saying you have to. We peer pressured hard, but again, you see the push that LSU's making right now with NIL. I don't know how many of you are on social media to see that kind of stuff. LSU's making a massive push. Brian Kelly's put in $1 million. I think they had a donor match that $1 million, and then they're raising $1 million through the fan base, just kind of word of mouth, like we did at the end of the year last year, where we were trying to raise so much in donations. You do with your money what you feel is best. If this thing's going to get back to where we want it to get, pulling support, right? You may hate NIL. You may hate the space that college football is in right now. Pulling support away from it, pulling the lifeblood, like literal cash away from it, is certainly not a way that it's going to help. And again, if that encourages 2 people to sign up, 1 person to sign up, 1 person to restart their membership, or unblock their credit card or whatever you did when you canceled the Battle's End or canceled your booster membership or didn't renew your season tickets. It's probably at least a little bit of a good faith thing that Norvell did, and maybe we can mimic it too. I will say it helped that my Battle's End thing was on auto payment, because like if I would have had to be like writing a check and sending it in every month, nobody writes checks anymore. Let's be real. But if I was having to do that of my own will, I don't know that I would have. Did that go live? I can't see the name, but is it Evan? Did that Battle's End thing go live? I was speaking with somebody about that earlier today. And I didn't know if that actually went live yet or not. I was hoping it did before we got on here to talk, but let me just pull them up real quick. I know this doesn't make for great live radio, but yeah, I don't see it just yet. Harlan, maybe we'll edit this little part out of the thing. I don't see that anywhere. Let's see. If you could just put a link for us for that in the comments. I just don't see it anywhere on social media or anything. But if you could put a link for that in the comments, we'd appreciate it. The Battle's End, from what I've been told, is going to, or it sounds like is already doing a, if you want to do a one-time $45 donation, they also have a $450 available. If you want to maybe throw that their way and make a little one-time donation, because Mike Norvell did, certainly would encourage you to do that. In fact, I'll do that. And anybody that super chats tonight, we'll take all the super chats from the show and throw that in if that's easier. I will say YouTube keeps like half of the money, so maybe don't super chat. Like send a Venmo or something, and we'll it's just Double Fries Pod on Venmo, and we'll send that over. Don't super chat. I don't want YouTube to get it. And that's also why we don't push for super chats. But anyway, yeah, the Battle's End. I would say maybe go donate there, right? Good faith thing that Norvell did. Maybe we can match it. Well, I don't know if we'll match it, but you can give $45, and that can be your way of matching it. Some comments I saw. Morning show. Yeah, we do this in the morning. I said this first thing, and if you joined late, you may not have heard it. My kid had a Christmas thing this morning at school, so we're doing it at night instead of the morning. You can drink coffee in the morning. I'm drinking a non-alcoholic Guinness because that's really exciting. So maybe you're on coffee, maybe you're on something stronger, but yeah, it's just the morning show happening at night. So sorry for that. I saw some comments on Pat Payton. Jackson coming back is certainly interesting. I think that's, ultimately, something that Norvell's comfortable with, and his seat is very much hot. And so if it works out with Jackson, that'll be great for the Noles. If it doesn't, then it's kind of on him. But yeah, I don't think Peyton will come back. We'll see what happens. We put this in Discord the other day, so I don't mind kind of saying it like a week later. But yeah, I'd be pretty surprised at this point if Pat Payton came back. James Williams, big pickup, an edge prospect, really productive for Nebraska. Of the edge prospects that were coming or that were leaving Nebraska, he was certainly the one that I wanted the most. I really wanted all three, just because I think you need to stack the talent there. But getting Williams is a big deal. I mean, I think he's your defensive end number one next year, and I think you need to continue pulling those guys in. We'll see if they can land anybody else. We'll see who else is around. I would have really liked Cersei from Florida. I would have really liked Pyburn from Florida. I think both those guys are very talented. One ended up at LSU and one ended up at Bama. So, it's not like those guys were just going somewhere absolutely terrible or downgrading. They left Florida for better programs. And so those obviously didn't come to fruition. I know that Florida State was in contact with Pyburn. I don't know if they just didn't push hard enough or what the situation was there. Their portal strategy at times leaves something to be desired, but I'm not being negative tonight. I think Peyton will. Yeah, I don't think NFL. Maybe, but yeah, I don't know where he gets drafted if he goes to the league. He does have some good athleticism. He would maybe test well. If I had for anybody that, yeah, so he may test well, but I don't know. I would lean away from NFL for Peyton. More likely the portal would be my guess, or maybe coming back. I don't know. Maybe he wants to come back. I don't know. I know he's got some buddies on the team and stuff, but I think it would be best for both parties if that was maybe the end of that run. For anybody that does, I'll do this. For anybody that does donate to the Battle's End, I will. I'll send you like 4 or 5 gut boxes. I don't know if you guys are in Tallahassee or anywhere around there. Or if you go to Tallahassee often, I'll send you like 5 gut boxes. So that'll literally cancel out the $45 that you spend, because by the time you go to Guthrie's and get a drink and all that other stuff, like, yeah. So if you do that, send me a message on wherever. I'll get it over your way. I'll mail them out. If you want to call in, if you want to chat at all, you certainly can using the link in the description or in the comments. I just talked about Daryl Jackson just a little bit. Give me just half a second to send something over. Can you air down? It's about 1 billion degrees in this office. So I just asked my wife to bump the air down just so you guys know what I was doing. Daryl Jackson coming back. I mean, I think he played a lot better toward the end of the year. I think he was really bad to start. I don't know if that was from a lack of energy, a lack of effort, just a lack of whatever. But I don't think it was great to start. And it seemed like he turned it on a little bit late. It seemed like he was certainly playing better. And if you can get that level of intensity, if you can get that level of effort, I think you're certainly going to take that. I know that everybody, and I was pissed off watching it too. Everybody thinks about the Lagway play at the end of the year where you didn't make the tackle and he gets out of it and throws it away. Lagway did that like 4 times this year, and I watched every Florida game. And it sucks that it happened to your guy too, and you felt like you had him, but yeah, it sucks. Just another nail in the coffin for this season. But I thought Jackson played a lot better. He graded out a lot better towards the end of the year. And if his mind is in the right place, if his mentality, to me, that's all it is with him. He's very talented, and I think he'll fit this scheme really well. If his mind is in the right place, then I'm good with it. If it's not, then I think you're inviting a potential problem. As much as we get on like Jackson, as much as we get on Farmer and Peyton for like the portal stuff, jumping in, jumping out, threatening to jump in, going here, going there, visiting here, Jackson never really did that. Now, he did tweet some stuff, but I really don't care what any of these 18 to 22-year-olds tweet. I don't follow very many of them. I don't care very much what they tweet. I don't care who they follow or what they like. I did enjoy, let me back up how I'm saying that. I did used to enjoy scrolling through Keon Coleman's likes because those were pure entertainment. But outside of him, I don't really care what any of these guys tweet. Jackson's maybe biggest flaw, right, with the other guys were actually jumping in the portal or submitting paperwork or doing this, that, and the other. Jackson's biggest thing was like, I think he said one time, like, if he goes, I go, like talking about Farmer. And Farmer never went. Jackson never went. I don't think Jackson would have left anyway because he was already on the waiver and that hadn't. So I don't know. I'm not as upset with Jackson as I was with like Farmer and Peyton when all that stuff was going down. So if his mind is right and he's there mentally, I don't hate bringing him back by any means. I also think it was probably much cheaper than getting that UCF kid that's going to Texas Tech. So I don't know. You have to. I mean, Mike absolutely knows like how hot the seat is and how warm and how much the pressure is on him. If he thinks this is what's best, then I don't have a huge issue with Jackson coming back. I will support if he was to come back, but I would have a bigger issue with Peyton coming back. That's my take on that. So let me take a sip and go on. Hey, if you're betting on any of the games this weekend, you do that with our friends over at BetUS. You can use our code YouTube150. YouTube 150 gets you 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit. You get 125% on your next two. I've been telling you guys about these folks all year. Hopefully, you've deposited and bet with BetUS. Again, all of those bonuses up to $2,000. Make sure that you're betting with BetUS. I kind of like all of the favorites this weekend. I know that this is not like necessarily about the national stuff, but I kind of like all of the favorites this weekend. And there's the BetUS ad. But I like all of the underdogs to cover. So I like Tennessee to cover. I like Clemson to cover, as crazy as that might sound. I like SMU to cover. And I like it. Notre Dame's the one I might bet on. But anyway, go bet with BetUS. YouTube 150 gets you those bonuses. All right, commitments. James Williams, he is hilarious. He's just responded to a couple of things on Twitter that are really, really funny. And I don't know that I could do the jokes justice of telling like what they were or what, but I think he is going to fit in well with FSU fans and the FSU culture, and just he seems pretty fun. He's again, I can't explain the whole joke. It just wouldn't be funny if I tried to, and so I won't. But essentially, he's just responded to some really funny things. If you don't follow me on Twitter, that's totally fine. But go to my page and I've retweeted it all, right? Like it's literally like 3 or 4 retweets down. It's well worth the laugh. Like if you're not on Twitter already, go do that. Outside of that, really productive player. Really good player for Nebraska. One of their better defensive linemen. 16 games, 7 sacks, 6'6", 250, a true edge rusher that I think has, I'm not trying to be cliche on this, but high motor, gym rat type, right? Absolutely get after it. And I think somebody that will shine in this system because he's played in it for multiple seasons, right? Not full seasons, but multiple seasons under Coach Knighton. I do really think he'll excel here, and I think he'll be really good. And again, not doing the whole thing of like hyping up every single move that happens for Florida State this offseason because we've been burned before. But just being honest on kind of the way that we see things working out this year, I think this is a really solid pickup. I don't think they're done at defensive line. I think they need to do more at defensive line. When Florida State's defensive line has been at its best, you think about how deep they were in 2023, and that needs to continue. That depth and that rotating of guys to keep them fresh and to not have quite that drop off and to have your guys playing their best ball at the end of the year. I think you do want to continue to bring in really talented guys. Man, LSU on an absolute heater in the portal. They take another. We can talk about Destin Hill too for a second if you guys want to, but they pick up another big time pickup in Nick Anderson, former Oklahoma transfer. LSU just on fire. Texas Tech on fire. What in the world is Texas Tech doing? I don't really know anything about Texas Tech, right? I know that the Pirate was there. I know that Leach was there. Rest in peace to the GOAT. But Texas Tech going crazy in the portal. And I know we all say like, oh, well, that's oil money, like whatever. But like, I think we know that about SMU. I think we know that about Texas A&M. I think we know that about Tech. Like Texas Tech has that kind of money. Like Lubbock, Texas, like they have that kind of money. Because they're throwing some massive bags. That like Florida State's been kind of in it for a couple of the guys that Texas Tech has landed. And they've offered such massive bags that Florida State's like, yeah, that's not like, we're not even thinking about that. Where's that money coming from? Where has that money been at Texas Tech? Or have I just not been aware of it? Ted says they have money there. Like, are their facilities really nice? Like, have they always had money there? Again, this is not Mahomes maybe made a donation. Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, where has that money been? It's been known for a long time. Maybe I'm just out of the loop. Are their facilities really nice, Ted? Like, do they have like elite facilities, and have they always like they're not hiring coaches with that money? You know, like I know they had Leach, but that was before he. So like, what have they been doing with it? So I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe they have facilities that are just insane, but I've never heard them mentioned like that. Smaller fan base for sure. Obviously, everything in Texas, it doesn't take much to get a lot of money, but yeah, pretty crazy. To see what they're doing. LSU obviously killing it too. And then obviously we talked a little bit at the beginning with the Vandy transfer. Again, I think an offensive lineman, you probably need to continue to load up there. It seems really promising that you've got multiple offensive linemen on campus. You're linked to multiple what would you call it? Multiple UCF offensive linemen. Look, I'm going to look down while I read this, just so so sorry that you have to look at the top of my bald head while I do it. UCF's offensive linemen last year, so 75 and above on PFF is like a really like above average. 65 and above is kind of good. Like 60-ish is average. and then like 55 to 60 is kind of like below average. Everyone on their team, their grades for their top, everyone who played 100 snaps or more, 75, 67, 67, 66, 60, and 57. Florida State didn't have one guy hit the high 60s. Like, this is absolutely, like, anyone you could get, whether they get the Kittler kid, whether they get the Medley kid, whether they get Marshall. Marshall even had a 74 pass block grade. All of their pass block grades are bright green, bright green, bright green, bright green. Like, they were so much better than anything Florida State even thought about putting out. And so this, and then obviously having already worked with Herb Hand would be huge too. If you took UCF's offensive line from last year and put it in Garnet and Gold last year, like just took their best 5 and brought them over, Florida State probably makes a bowl game. Like that's how much better they were and how they graded out, opponent adjusted and everything else. So anyone that Florida State can pull in from UCF, automatic upgrade over what you had this year. And it's not even close. Like it's not even a question. I would actually share the PFF stuff, but I think it's all private and you're not supposed to do that. And I don't want my YouTube channel to get shut down for sharing their info. But if you message me on social media, I'll send you a picture of it. But yeah, from Amari Knight, who was their best for sure, Amari Kite, Kight, to Caden Kittler, Rubelt, Medley, Kinney, and then Marshall, all of them much better than anything you had in Tallahassee this year. So anyone you could get off of that offensive line would be great. All of that to say, the Vandy kid, a massive upgrade too. Huge offensive tackle, true offensive tackle type body, has played a ton of games in the SEC. I understand that it's Vandy. I understand that you'd say like, oh, that's the worst team in the SEC. They actually weren't. They weren't even close to the worst team in the SEC this year. Beating Bama, obviously a big deal, but they played really well in other games too that they didn't win. And a highly sought-after transfer that Florida State did a really good job of shutting things down and getting him on campus and getting things closed off very fast. So overall, a really good day. And I don't think Florida State's anywhere close to done. We talked on, just on Sunday, right? And basically said like, hey, are we moving too slow? Where's the urgency? Why is this not happening? Why are we not getting these people in? A lot of visits set up this week. I would expect more commitments. I would expect us to be live on here again soon, talking about more of it. I think the staff is doing a pretty good job in the portal. We even said on Sunday when Richie and I were talking about it, we'll probably be back on here in 2 days kind of saying, we were wrong. The staff's doing fine in the portal. I think that they're doing fine for where they're at. Let's maybe clarify that. I don't think they have the star power or when you go 2-10, you're not going to be in it for some of the absolute most elite guys. Like, let's just be very honest. And look at some of the guys they picked up. They've had connections with. Castellanos, connection. Whether you like that or don't, whatever. Williams, connection. Gunner, that's a little bit different. But if they land some of the UCF offensive linemen, connections there, obviously with Herb Hand. If they get Deuce, somebody just asked about Deuce, obviously a connection. If he makes it to campus, the big thing to me for him, somebody asked about him specifically, he just needs to get to campus, which, let me take a sip here. Which, if he does, I think that's a really good sign, just being a legacy. And I actually do think he will get to campus. I think the biggest problem that Florida State staff has had is that they don't push hard enough for the early visit. They've gotten the late visit a lot, and that has kind of burned them. Because a guy will go to campus somewhere else, he'll never end up showing back up to Florida State. It just happened with Lee Hunter, right? That one seemed like it was going to be a stretch after you got Jackson back anyway. But if you get Deuce to campus, I think you're in a much better spot. If he commits before, it's like, I don't know. It's like waiting, it's exactly this. Yeah, like this is a terrible comparison, but this actually is exactly what it is. If you are thinking about asking a girl out and you're nervous, or you just don't have the stones, or you just don't think you're ready, or you don't know what she'll say or whatever, and you say all week, I'm going to wait and I'm going to ask her out on Friday. And I'm going to ask her out on Friday. I'm going to go out with her on Friday. But you know that all the other guys could ask her out at any point during that. And if she says yes to any of them, Friday never came. That's exactly what the staff sometimes struggles with. They didn't with these last couple. They didn't with this one. They've done a good job. But they have struggled with that in the past. And to me, there's a lot of good that can come from waiting and getting that last visit. But if that visit never happens, then you're kind of screwed, right? And so I don't know. If they can get Robinson to campus, then I feel like they'll have a shot, as good of a shot as anybody due to the relationship and the legacy. If somebody else wows him before then you're kind of SOL, right? There's not a lot that you can do. So, all right, let's get some comments. Let's go through some. If anybody, we'll be on here for like 5 more minutes. If anybody wants to jump in and call in, you're certainly welcome to. If not, we can just kind of go through some comments and look at that. I appreciate you guys that are in here hanging out with us tonight. Let me go through them. Oh, do we want to talk? What do we say? Oh, Destin Hill. All right, so the true story on Destin Hill. What really happened here? I really don't know. I just wanted to say that to get everybody excited. We had talked about this a little bit, but going back to LSU is kind of a weird one for me. I feel like he's going to be like, and I maybe just wanted to be closer to home after whatever the heck he went through forever, and then coming here for 2 years. I heard he was going to transfer out anyway, like before the injury. Then the injury happened, and you're obviously not going to jump in the portal with a torn ACL. But I don't know. The LSU transfer doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I also don't really. People got offended today at his comment. I don't know if I have his comment right in front of me. But people got really upset about that. Like, I actually will pull it up because maybe I'm reading it wrong. What did he say here? It's a big support system, a bigger opportunity to get better with more resources. And the main thing, it's all about getting better and getting one step closer to the NFL. I'm going to wide receiver U. People got offended at that and got upset that he said that. That didn't really bother me at all. People, he's taking shots at FSU or he's taking shots on his way out. Like, nothing in that to me was a massive shot. LSU is a big support system. He's literally from there. It's a bigger opportunity to get better with more resources. I do think that it's a better opportunity at LSU to play wide receiver than it is at Florida State. Like, I'm not trying to be a jerk about that. It is. And the main thing, it's about getting better and getting one step closer to the NFL. Obviously, that's just kind of a throwaway comment. I don't think that that's, hey, I'm trying to get to the NFL. Like that, I don't think that was offensive to FSU. Maybe I'm reading that wrong, but yeah, I don't. And saying he's going to wide receiver U. I mean, we certainly aren't. So I don't know. I didn't get offended at that. I didn't really take it as shade. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. I think our fan base is a little bit sensitive. I'm not calling anybody in here sensitive, not the 200 plus people that are in here hanging out tonight. I do think the fan base is a little bit sensitive. And so if you talk good about somebody else, you're immediately talking bad about. I mean, what did you expect him to say? You know what I don't like? Just at transfers in general. The one thing I will say, I've been talking nonstop for 38 minutes now. The one thing I will say about the portal is I hate the emotional sob story. I'll always be a Seminole. No, man, you're out. Like, that's fine. You don't put on this whole, and again, when guys get kind of pushed out or it's like, hey, we're going in a different direction. You might, need to transfer out. That's different. When guys that are good transfer out, like I saw this with Pyburn leaving UF. I'll always be a Gator. I'll always bleed orange and blue. Then why are you leaving? What does that mean? So I would rather, which again, I don't think he'll really threw shade, but I would rather shade than you to lie about I'll always bleed garnet and gold. Like, what do you mean? So I don't know. I didn't take it offensive. I would rather shade though. I would rather shade than this fake, hey, we'll always love you. We'll always, I'll always have your back, and I'm always garnet and gold for life. Well, no, you're not. You're clearly leaving. So anyway, I didn't get offended by it. If you did, hopefully you can recover from that. What about, here's a good one. What about Kendrick Law. Did Law make it to campus today? Like, that would be my only question there. Wasn't he supposed to be on campus? And then I never saw a report that he was. I never saw a picture that he was. Maybe I missed that. I was out a lot today, and then had some people over, and we've done some different stuff and been really busy with the national channel and everything else. But I didn't see that Law made it to campus. If he doesn't make it to campus, I don't feel very good about it. I'm also a little bit scarred just from taking Alabama wide receivers after what went down with Benson did. But maybe Benson would have been better with a quarterback that, didn't have concrete shoes and could, had enough time to throw the ball. But I didn't see Law make it to campus. So it'd be hard for me to give a thought on that if he was supposed to be there today and wasn't. I haven't read anything. I haven't looked at anything. I literally saw the 2 commits and then flipped on the live. So I don't have a great answer for you there. Yeah, I do think there are other possible O linemen. That Medley kid from UCF, didn't another UCF kid visit today? It's in a text that I have. Since we're live, I don't mind just looking this up. But yeah, another UCF kid visited too. Give me just a second. I don't know why I can't find it, but yeah, I don't know, Harlan, if you saw anything on another visitor today, another UCF offensive lineman or one that is coming in. But yeah, I do think they'll take at least 2 more offensive linemen, and I would probably take 3 just for what it's worth. If we can get 5 more offensive linemen, yeah, I would not turn down any of them that want to come hang out. Hey, I do have a favor to ask, and I'll put this in the comments real quick. I don't know if it'll take you away from the channel, but I will put this in the comments. I started, and I know I do a lot, and I ask you guys to do a lot. And so if you don't want to do this, you don't have to. But if you would, I would appreciate it. I started a SEC channel. I know that we hate them, right? But I started an SEC channel with my good friend Allie Peak, who does the Peak Inside Gators football. And basically, she just types up the SEC the entire time, and I just dog it. So I know that you'll be subscribing to an SEC channel, but it's really just so you can watch me crap on them all the time. Like, I gave her hell for no SEC players being in the top 10 of the Heisman voting. And she's like, well, the league cannibalized itself. And I'm like, the Big 12 didn't. The ACC didn't cannibalize itself, and Cam Ward's still up there. A freaking guy from the Mountain West made it, an SEC guy couldn't. So go subscribe to that. Even if you hate the SEC, trust me, I do too. But it's fun for me to give her a hard time over there. So again, I've tried to sell you on the Battle's End and BetUS and the Coffee Play, Decadent. This one doesn't cost you anything. The other things cost you stuff. This one, just go hit the subscribe button, and then if you never watch a video, that's fine. But we're nearly to 1,000 subscribers after being live for about 9 days, so that's pretty fun. I do appreciate the Gator Troll comments in here too. You guys are great. I appreciate you guys for logging into us. Watch us losers talk after your magical 7-5 season that you guys threw a ticker take parade for. What else do we got? I think that's about it. I just wanted to really talk about Norvell. I wanted to talk a little bit about the commits, and I do expect more. I think more this week will. Newberg used to say, what's the forecast? And I think the forecast looks like more commitments coming this week out of the portal. So hopefully Florida State can continue the momentum there. And it's been pretty good vibes since the football stops. Not having to watch bad football has been a lot of fun. You do get to watch some pretty good football this weekend, though. Again, if you're betting on any of the games, use BetUS. We appreciate them for their support. Appreciate Decadent, a coffee and dessert bar, for their support. And again, do me a favor and go subscribe to that new channel. We certainly have had fun with it. We've done 2 episodes so far. I've chopped up some clips, too, from it. So go check us out over there, a peek inside SEC football. All right, that's all I got for tonight. My voice is about to go. We went a little over time, but I appreciate you guys for hanging out. We'll talk to you soon. Go Noles.